what's up, and welcome into Around the Bags. This is edition 11, and I'm Mitch Glessner alongside Thomas Lemanske as always. We've kind of gotten off track. We haven't been able to make a show in a while. We've both been very busy with summer schedules. You know, usually you get some time off, but we have both been very busy. So we haven't gotten a show out in a while for you guys, and we're going to try to give you a good one today as there's a lot to talk about. So we're going to jump right in. And lately, Thomas, it's been Max Scherzer. He has been all the talk around Major League Baseball right now. I mean, the guy is just dominating. He's pitched in the last 26 innings. He's only allowed 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 33 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, .69 ERA. He's absolutely dominating right now. And we kind of figured that this would happen eventually because he's such a good pitcher.
Right. I mean, we talked about earlier in past episodes about the Washington Nationals pitching staff, not playing up to par. But, Max Scherzer, they gave him that big contract, I think $210 million altogether. And he's definitely earning every cent of that. But his ERA over the past 3 games, it's dropped from 2.3 or 2.13 to 1.79, and at one point he retired 70 of 73 batters faced. So, man, I mean, we both know that this guy, has Cy Young potential, ace, or he's definitely an ace. But yeah. When you give that guy that much money, you better earn it, and he's definitely shown that he's earned his money.
He's earning it right now, and I mean, he's got to be the favorite in the National League to be the starting pitcher for the All-Star game at this point. I mean, that's just unbelievable. Over that stretch as well, he has thrown 325 pitches, and of those, 73% were strikes. And, you always talk about, or coaches will always say, pound the zone in the strike zone, get ahead. That is unbelievable. If you're throwing 73% of your ball strikes, then you're getting ahead and you're getting a lot of hitters out.
Right, and if you throw that first pitch strike, that does so much for a pitcher. It opens, his arsenal of all the pitches. I mean, if you're up 0-1, who knows? The pitcher or the hitter doesn't know what's coming. He could get another off speed, or it can get the 95-mile-an-hour fastball that Scherzer has. So, him getting ahead in counts, it does a lot for him. And 1, 2, 3 innings have really been one of his strong suits. Of the 26 innings he's pitched over the past 3 games, 20 of them were 1, 2, 3 innings, getting the first 3 batters out of his face. So that's keeping your pitch count down. If you go in 1, 2, 3 each inning, that does a lot too. You can go pitch farther into games, and he's just been amazing the past 3 games.
Yeah, that is huge. And we both expected the Nationals to turn it around sooner or later. First, a couple weeks ago, it started with the spark of Bryce Harper, who came alive. Yeah. Now it seems like they're coming alive with the spark from Max Scherzer. And right now, the Nationals are 41-33. They're 3.5 games up on the Mets. I'm actually very surprised the Mets are still hanging around there.
Me too.
But the Nationals have that 31-run differential. They're extremely hot right now. They've won their last 7 in a row. They're 8-2 in their last 10. I just don't see any signs of them cooling off anytime soon. I think they're going to stay hot here for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it was my pick to win. They were my pick to win the World Series this year, and they're starting to pick it up. I know we've talked multiple times in past episodes of them, not playing, the way they're capable of playing, and now, their starting pitching has really, really been their strong suit. Picking up the load for them. I think I saw a stat a couple days ago that their starting pitching staff, even without Steven Strasburg, has pitched the last 42 innings are scoreless innings that they've pitched altogether in their starting pitching staff. So that's one heck of a stat. And if your starting pitching is pitching 42 innings of scoreless innings, I mean, man, that does a lot for your offense, knowing that they can, get 1 or 2 runs a game and still win the game. So, they're starting to pick it up, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in that division.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to leave Max Scherzer on this one last note. He has only allowed 14 walks and has 130 strikeouts. The dude knows how to pitch. Let's move on now to Giancarlo Stanton, who has probably the most thunder in any bat in all of baseball, and he was going very strong, very hot. He was leading the majors with 27 home runs, but Thomas, he goes down with an injury here, and that's not good for the Marlins.
Yeah, no, yesterday he was up to bat and he got a fastball and he swung almost as hard as he can, and he just broke his wrist. He broke a bone in his wrist. He's out 4 to 6 weeks, but yeah, that's just crazy. He swings as hard as he can, and he's just too strong for himself, and he breaks his wrist. He actually stayed in that at bat and finished the at bat. He did strike out, but the third pitch he swung just as hard as the first time, and he bent over and grimaced. But he has 27 home runs right now. It leads the National League, so. Arguably the best player on the Miami Marlins. They're definitely going to miss him.
Yeah, him and D Ford for sure are probably their top two. But you know what catches my eye the most here is that it is a wrist injury.
Right.
And when you look at wrist injuries, we looked at, Gordon very early on in the season, as well as Infante, dealing with those nagging wrist injuries. Those usually seem to be the ones that are the hardest to come back from. You see guys go down with leg injuries and whatnot. And yeah, sure, those take, a while to rehab and whatnot. But usually guys with, leg injuries and whatnot, they come back pretty strong. But the wrist, it's just kind of been there historically as one of those nagging injuries that really sets a player down a notch or two.
Yeah, he signed that 13-year, $325 million contract last year, but last year he got hit in the face with a fastball, and he sat out for the rest of the year. Which that's not his fault. You can't really help being hit in the face with a fastball, but he's seeing some time on the DL the past 2 seasons, which is kind of worrisome for the Marlins after they give him that $325 million contract. But, like you said, the wrist injury, it's a lingering injury. Like you said about Alex Gordon, he took some time out. He's probably going to have to wear a wrist brace after that, but batting-wise and throwing-wise, your wrist is a big part of baseball. I know that sounds kind of awkward, but it's true.
Yeah, because you got to get those hands, inside the ball and get good extension, and that's one of the things he does best is get really good extension on the ball. That's why he hits so many balls out of the ballpark.
Yeah, and like sliding to a base, you slide with your hands out,
absolutely.
And you're catching your wrist on, catching your hand on the base if you slide head first. So yeah, your wrist is a very vulnerable, body part in baseball, and hopefully he can get that healed pretty soon. Yeah,
absolutely. Hopefully he does get healed. He's probably going to miss the All-Star game now and whatnot. It would have been fun to see what he can do there. Yeah, also would have been fun to see how many more homers he could hit. See if he could have hit maybe 60 or so. I don't know, with the injury, it's going to set him back.
Yeah, he was on pace to hit 60 this year. After that game, he hit that one, but yeah, man, it sucks. I hope he gets better soon, too. He's a really fun and really exciting young player to watch.
Yep, he is, and we're going to move on now to a topic that happened a little while ago. Like I mentioned earlier, we haven't been back on the show for a while. It is Saturday, June 27th, but we're going to talk about A-Rod, and everybody knows by now A-Rod reached his 3,000th hit, and it was on a home run, and pretty special moment for A-Rod. He's had such a great career, but, it has been tainted a little bit and whatnot. He does get the 3,000th hit. My impression on it is, at least he's still producing to where, he's still kind of an exciting player to watch, I guess. And it is kind of fun to watch him, tear down some records and reach some milestones and whatnot. But the thing with him and steroids always lingers in the back of my mind.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case for me too. When you talk about, he hit 3,000 hits, but then you think, how many of those hits, did he hit when he was taking steroids? So, who knows if he didn't take steroids, he might have not fisted that ball, right over the shortstop's head, right over the second heads for a bloop single. So you never know. But he did get 3,000 hits. He hit a home run just like Derek Jeter did when he hit his 3,000 hits. Mm-hmm. So, I was actually kind of surprised at the ovation he got from New York fans. When he first started playing this year, he kind of got a mixed ovation. Some boos, some cheers from the New York faithful, but it was all cheers and all celebration after he hit that ball. You know what the funny thing is? The guy that hit that ball didn't even give him the ball back.
Yeah.
The guy that hit the ball wrote a book about how to catch a foul ball, how to catch a home run.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you catch a or write a book about that, but I mean, yeah, but I don't know. It's tainted. His legacy's tainted in my eyes, but congrats to him. I don't know how many hits he would have had if he didn't take steroids, but hey, nonetheless, he has 3,000 hits.
Yeah, and looking at his stats, when he was basically in his prime, he was sitting around the range of anywhere basically consistently 170 to upwards of 200 hits in a season. And, to go along with all those home runs that, are probably tainted. But, I'm very surprised right now that A-Rod has 15 homers and is batting 289 right now. Before the season, he came in and, there was a lot of scrutiny, a lot of press around him. And what position was he going to play? Was he going to DH? Was he going to play first? Was he going to play third? All these questions and rumors flying around. And he's really just quieted them all down with his bat. Yeah. He's really producing. He's been perhaps one of the most productive players for the New York Yankees right now. To go along with those 15 home runs, he has 44 RBIs. And looking right now, the Yankees aren't that far behind the Rays. They're only a half game back. They're 40-34. Rays are 41-34. So the Yankees, powered by A-Rod here, they could come out of nowhere and jump right back into first place.
Yeah, no, they definitely can. That division, the AL East, it's pretty close. The Rays and the Yankees. I think the Orioles are starting to put it together, but yeah, he's batting 289, which is really surprising. Without steroids, I didn't think he'd be that good. But 289, 15 home runs, which is more home runs than anybody on the Royals has right now. I think Salvador Perez has 12 or 11 right now. So, yeah, it's pretty surprising. Like I said, he's getting a mixed ovation, or I guess more cheers than boos now in New York. So, New York doesn't have, the most forgiving fans ever, kind of like Philly. But, since he's playing so well, the fans are starting to warm up to him again and kind of forget what his past situation he's been in.
Yeah, so we're going to move on here. Congratulations to A-Rod on the 3,000th. Could be tainted, but, that's still an accomplishment for anybody.
He's been an all-star. He started being an all-star in 1996, and now all the way from 1996 to 2011, he was an all-star. So
yeah, so
he's doing something right.
Good for him. He's had a great career. We'll see where it goes. In my eye, he's still a guy to watch on TV.
Oh, yeah.
He's still pretty fun to watch. We're going to move along here to some serious big news. This was really big that just got out there to the public recently, and it's involving Pete Rose. And we all know Pete Rose was banned from baseball, and Outside the Lines recently obtained evidence that was just enough to prove that Pete Rose bet on baseball not only as a manager, but now this report is coming out that he bet as a player, and that is a cardinal sin of baseball. You're not supposed to bet. It's in the rules specifically. He was kind of coming back. People were starting to give him a little bit more leeway.
Right.
And I almost thought that he was on the track within the next couple years to maybe be reinstated in baseball.
Right.
But I think right now, this coming out proving that he bet while a player, that is a huge no-no, especially after he had denied it for 26 years. So, at this point, it's basically there's no chance in my book that Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, Rob Manfred, the new MLB commish, was actually I was watching ESPN. I heard this on ESPN. They were talking about him looking back into the Pete Rose situation before all these allegations came up, and gonna revisit whether or not Pete Rose should be inducted into the Hall of Fame or not. Because it's Pete Rose. He's one hell of a baseball player, but after this, I definitely agree with you. Pete Rose, it's sad to say he won't be in the MLB Hall of Fame anymore. But, like I said, Outside the Lines acquired a notebook detailing Rose's alleged gambling during a period in 1986 when he's still playing with the Reds. The notebooks are detailed and show Rose at one point losing close to $25,000 betting on basketball as well as betting on the Reds and other baseball games. So I mean, man, that's some serious stuff. And when you sign that contract, you know that you can't bet on the game of baseball. So,
yeah.
I mean, he did it, and I mean, it sucks, but he's not going to make the Hall of Fame anymore.
And it says, he bet on the Reds there, a team that he was playing for at the time. Do I think that Pete Rose threw a game intentionally because he bet? Probably not.
No,
Absolutely
I don't
not.
think so either.
But still, it's one of the most,
Right.
strict rules that you cannot do that.
Yeah,
you will be banned. You look at, and it's in there because of the Black Sox scandal.
Right.
The Black Sox threw the World Series basically, and
Yeah.
all that. But I mean, geez, Pete Rose, lifetime hitter 303, 4,256 hits in 24 years of playing. That's unbelievable. He played almost every game each year. He's a gamer. We all know him as, Charlie Hustle and whatnot. He went all out in every game, but boy, I think it's going to be nearly impossible for him to be reinstated into baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about Derek Jeter and A-Rod getting these 3,000 hits. Well, I mean, Pete Rose had over 4,000 hits, and he's not even going to be in the Hall of Fame, or most likely not even going to be in the Hall of Fame anymore. But, man, it's just sad. Betting on baseball, when he was managing first and now coming out, he's betting on baseball as a player. You just can't do that. I think of it. I was talking to one of my friends one time. He's just who's a psychology major. They called him an adrenaline junkie. After playing, he bet on baseball as a manager, and as a manager, you're not playing baseball anymore. So you got to get that adrenaline that you got as a player. And, the only way to do that is to gamble. You're putting your money on the line. You're going to lose money. You might win money. So, he knew he couldn't do that as a player and as a manager. But, man, it's sad to see it that a guy hitting over 4,000 hits isn't going to even a 303 lifetime hitter. Like, if you're hitting career average 303.
Over 24 years, too.
And
Holy moly.
Anything above 300 career average, I mean, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame most likely. But not in Pete Rose's situation.
Yeah, it looks like that's not probably going to happen, at least in our lifetimes, which will be a while. We're going to move on here, and this has been fun, especially because it deals with our Royals. We're talking about the All-Star Game, which is coming up, and the Royals have been, they've just been leading in voting, and they've kind of taken over this All-Star Game, especially with Ned Yost, who is going to manage the game. Mm-hmm. They were at 8 players, but now they have dropped down to the most recent results that they have 7 players, and that would be Omar Infante, shortstop, Alcides Escobar, Mike Moustakas, Sal Perez, the DH, Kendrys Morales, and outfielders, both Lorenzo Cain and Alex Gordon. And if it were to end now, the third outfield starter would be Mike Trout, and then Miguel Cabrera, who just recently got ahead of Eric Hosmer, would be at first base.
Yeah, this is me and you are very biased in this conversation since we're Royals fans.
Yeah.
I want to see all Royals fans. 7 Royals, 8 Royals in the All-Star game. Man, that would be really exciting, facing all the National League All-Stars. But a lot of other people don't feel that way. And granted, I think Miguel Cabrera should be starting in front of Eric Hosmer in the All-Star game, and I actually think Prince Fielder should be starting in front of Eric Hosmer in the All-Star game, because Prince Fielder, I think, has the highest batting average in the AL right now. And the Omar situation, Omar's actually been playing a lot better the past 2 weeks.
He's been on a little hot streak.
Yeah, he really has. And he has 6.5 million votes right now. And the second is Jose Altuve, which has about 6.1 million. So, he's ahead by of Jose Altuve for about 400,000 votes. So it looks like Omar might keep that. You know, you can vote until July 4th, I believe, July 3rd.
I'm not
something
positive.
like that.
Somewhere around there.
But I mean, think about it. If you have 7-8 Royals in the All-Star game, 6, 7, 8 Royals, who knows what's going to end up? Won't people watch that more? Like, if you see 7, 8 players on the same team, you're gonna tune in and be like, "Oh, are they gonna get their butts whooped by the end of the All-Stars? Or are they gonna beat them?" You know?
Yeah, it'd be very interesting.
It's
to
entertaining.
See.
You know, it might increase the All-Star game ratings on TV, but you know, I guess people don't want to see 7, 8 Royals on one team.
Yeah, you know, I guess I'd never really looked at it from that viewpoint, but I think you're right, Thomas.
Right.
I think if that were to happen, I think the ratings would probably skyrocket.
That's what I think too.
Because it would basically be the Royals versus
Mike Trout.
The Royals, Mike Trout,
and Miguel Cabrera.
Versus the NL's best. I mean, that would be something to watch. I found a very interesting article here, and this goes along with the All-Star game here. And in 1957, the fans elected 7 Cincinnati Reds players to the National League starting spots. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The commissioner at the time was Ford Frick, and he ordered an investigation on the ballots. And he ended up deciding to remove 2 Reds outfielders, Gus Bell and Wally Post, from the lineup. He replaced them with then a Brewer, Hank Aaron, and from the Giants, Willie Mays. And, you know, this kind of parallels to this year's All-Star voting, as just recently, the MLB canceled roughly 60 million fan votes just recently, and that's had an effect on the voting and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, they canceled, I think it was 60, anywhere between 60 and 65 million views or votes. And I mean, wow, that's a lot of votes. And to be honest, I was surprised that 7 Royals still remained in first, because I thought, you know, after I heard he was going to take away votes, I thought it was going to be like 3, 4 Royals still in the lead. But I mean, I think the voting is, and the voting does need to change. I really think that, you know, do I think 7 Royals should actually make the All-Star game? No, I don't. Maybe 4 or 5, maybe, I think do. But, you know, I think the voting should be split up into 4 and fourths. 1/4 should be fans, other 4 should be players, GMs, and coaches. And, you know, granted, there still might be, you know, fan voting the way it is right now, you know, like KC getting all their players in. But I think the All-Star game voting should be more towards the players voting, because, you know, they play against each other every day. They know who's the best of the best. And the coaches, same way with them. I mean, they play every day. They know who the best of the best. And the GMs, you know, they sign the players. They scout the players. They know who's the best of the best, too. So fans should definitely have a say in it, but I think they should have less of a say as they do this year.
Yeah, I completely agree. That should probably change in the future. I don't know how far down the line it would take to change that, but, you know, the coaches, players, and GMs, you know, good for the Royals. You know, obviously, I'm a huge Royals fan. I think it's great that they're being voted for. You know, 5, 6 years ago, nobody would vote Royals. So,
No way.
you know, it's great right now. But I think you're right, Thomas. I think something does need to be done. I think, you know, the coaches and the players want to protect the integrity of the game and make sure that, you know, things are happening the right way. But, you know, as right now, the Royals are going to lead the pack pretty much in the AL. But staying on the All-Star game topic here, Thomas, I wanted to touch just a little bit on the weight of the All-Star game. And I think that it is definitely time that this needs to change. The All-Star game cannot decide home field advantage. I think that is the dumbest thing ever. It's an exhibition match during the middle of the summer. I don't understand why Bud Selig made it a priority to make that give the whichever league, you know, home field advantage. And looking here, in the last 10 years, the team that earned home field advantage from the All-Star game has won the World Series 7 times. 7 out of 10. That's how much of a difference it makes. I think that has to change. It's an exhibition game. I know people are probably worried, oh, well, if it turns into an exhibition, well, then it's just going to be a home run derby and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I seriously doubt that and disagree with that to the full extent. I mean, these guys still want to go out there and compete, and they still want to show each other that they're the best at what they do. So I don't think they would have any problem with, the game being, I guess you could call it tainted or just, like a, home run derby, whatever you want to call it. I don't think that would happen. So they need to lift that rule off. I think that's the stupidest rule for most of professional sports in general.
Right. No, I definitely agree. The All-Star game, what's it for? It's for the fans, It's for the fans to see. It's for the fans to see the best players that year to come together in one game and, play each other. And, I understand what you're saying, but some of the players, they're coming into it and saying, "Oh man, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to, I don't want to run as fast as I can, and stride really long to beat this ball out at first and maybe tear at my knee or something like that, or steal a base in the second, get my thumb cut on the base and break my thumb, Maybe players are thinking, I'm going to take this about 75%, 80%, so, I can go back and, kind of fresh with my actual team and finish the season off healthy. So, are they playing 100% during the All-Star game? Who knows? Only they know if they're giving them their all. But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. This game should not determine who gets home field advantage of the All-Star or home field advantage of the World Series. Unfortunately, one of the Royals were in that category of the three teams not winning the World Series with home field advantage. So, but I mean, I think the team that gets home field advantage should have the best overall record that season. They do play some NL teams, and play interleague matchups. Yeah. So it gives them a good determination of who the actual best team during the whole season is. I think that's how they should determine home field advantage.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. That's what I had been thinking, for a couple of years now, that it's just got to go to the team with the best,
right?
The best record against whoever makes it in the NL and AL, decide by who has the better record.
Because I mean, the Royals, like, they might have 7-8 players in the All-Star game, and they might even make the World Series. But guess what? They're going to be playing most of the game in the All-Star game. But a team that might only have 1-2 players in the All-Star game and makes it to the World Series, well, they didn't even play in the All-Star game that much. They only had one player play. Yeah. So, it's stupid. Rob Manfred the commissioner should definitely look into it, and should definitely look into changing what the outcome of that game means.
Yep, and we're going to keep moving along here. And like I said earlier a couple times, since we've been off the mic for a while, like I said, it's Saturday, June 27th. I'm Mitch Glessner alongside Thomas Lemanske. We're not going to get our break in today because we're just trying to cover as much as possible. So we're going to move to our final topic, and it's not as serious as some of the other ones that we've addressed, but I still wanted to address it, especially with the College World Series going on, and it's the pace of play. Now, in the College World Series, me and you, Thomas, have both been to numerous games out there, whether it was Rosenblatt or TD Ameritrade. I don't know. Have you seen TD Ameritrade or not?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it. I've been to one game.
Okay, yeah, there. Great. So, we've both been to both parks, and the atmosphere is great. I love the atmosphere. It's very fan-oriented. It's fun for the fans. It's fun for kids.
Yeah, you should definitely go if you have a chance.
It's a great experience. Great for the players as well. A lot of players that play in it are guys that are getting drafted. Mm-hmm. In the Virginia Vanderbilt final series, 15 out of the players of the total players had gotten drafted,
along with the number one overall draft pick, too.
Yeah, exactly, and Dansby Swanson there. And you got to think too, a lot of those freshmen and sophomores would have gotten drafted as well, but due to NCAA, that
they probably
regulations,
did out of high school though.
Yeah, they probably did. So I mean, that's great. But we're going to address the pace of play here, and that great experience. We've already touched on all the positives and whatnot, but holy moly, Thomas. I'm watching the second game. The final series is a 3-game series, Virginia and Vanderbilt. Yeah. I'm watching the second game, and it is just taking forever. I'm pretty sure the game, I don't have an official game time, game ending time, but it had to be over or in the ballpark range of around 3 hours and 50 minutes. I mean, I literally was switching from the Royals and the College World Series back and forth, and the College World Series, was taking way too long. And, the pace of play rules so far have been good for baseball. They've lowered the time of play and whatnot. I think it's been great so far.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, in 2014, actually, the average MLB game lasted 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 21 seconds. That was in 2014. And I think this year the average game time has dropped, I believe, 8 minutes. The average time has dropped 8 minutes. So, the MLB is doing a better job. They understand that, the pace of play needs to increase, But, I mean, I'll tell you what, as a fan, sometimes sitting at a Royals game or wherever, I'll tell you what, when a pitcher takes so long to throw a ball, he catches the ball from the catcher after he makes a pitch, walks around the mound, and then stands up on the mound, wipes his sweat off his forehead. Dude, just throw the ball.
Yeah, get back on the bump and let's go.
There's no rule about that in baseball. I mean, they have put in that 2-minute rule in between innings, I believe.
Yeah,
they
I was gonna read off those rules here real quick. Batters must keep 1 foot in the batter's box between pitches, with the exceptions for the opposing team calling time and foul balls. And a little bit, there's some leeway there. Each ballpark is now fixed with a clock to make sure the time between innings is managed between 2 minutes and 25 seconds for most games, 2 minutes 45 seconds for national televised games. And they encourage both the pitcher and the hitter to be ready basically 20 seconds when there's 20 seconds remaining on the clock. And the third thing is relief pitchers are held to that same standard for their preparedness and are being asked to pitch regardless of how many warm-up pitches they have thrown when the 2 minutes and 25 seconds is up. So they're definitely taking some strides. I think it's good for baseball. I mean, I just couldn't believe watching that College World Series game that, seriously, watching from, I think it was the 6th inning on, when it was the 9th inning for the Vanderbilt-Virginia game, it was already the 6th inning for the Royals.
Wow.
And, I think that's fantastic. That's what, Major League Baseball wanted out of this whole thing. And they want the games more, fast-paced, more exciting, just like the other professional sports like basketball and football. I know, obviously, you can't make baseball to the same pace of those sports, obviously. Right. But you can take some steps, and that's going to attract more viewership.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Talking about baseball, it's not as appealing as, a sport like football and basketball where the pace of play is, in football, you're running a play every play clock's like 25 seconds long. In basketball, oh man, that's nonstop if you don't have a timeout or anything. Mm-hmm. But, talking about baseball, I mean, it's not as, the pace of play is just not there like the other sports. And people, you just sit there. You're going to sit there for 3 hours. And, sometimes it's not as entertaining as,
in the summer heat, too.
Right. And, like in Kansas, it gets pretty hot. Right. The past week, it's been, 95, 100 degrees. So, exactly. It's not there as some of the other sports. So, one thing I think the MLB should do, talking about TV dollars, I'll tell you what, the MLB, NFL, NBA, the one thing that they pride themselves on is getting their TV revenue in, getting those people, those market spots, getting those commercials in. And people don't want to see commercials when they're watching baseball, especially if you're sitting out a game in between innings. That's when the commercials show. When they're warming up, they're just watching commercials on TV. So if you take some of the commercials down, the innings and then in between innings are going to get shorter, and the pace of play is going to increase. So, I know sports is a money-driven, league, and I don't think it should be as money-driven as, it should be just satisfying the fans. And if you shorten the game time and increase the pace of play in the MLB, the fans are going to be happier. And therefore, they're going to go to more games and spend more money on baseball instead of just watching commercials on TV or something and watching teams warm up in between innings.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you kind of mentioned there, I mean, professional sports overall, it's an entertainment thing. It's something
industry.
to go. Yeah,
it's a business.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it is a business, and these TV contracts, like you mentioned, some of them are just ridiculous.
Huge.
Like the Yes Network, I know for the New York Yankees, and I think it's NESN maybe for Boston. Just to name a few there. The Chicago Cubs have their own. I mean, they have huge TV deals, so I mean, it's a big money thing as well. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. We got a lot of pretty good topics in for our 11th edition, and it is Saturday, once again, June 27th. I'm Mitch Glessner alongside Thomas Lemanske. We didn't have a break, but that was all right because we just got to talk a little bit more about what we've missed the last couple of weeks. So that was edition 11, and stay tuned next week. Hopefully we can get back on track with getting the show out there to you guys once a week. But me and Thomas are very busy, so we're doing our best. Keep tuning in, though. And that is a wrap for today. Enjoy your weekend.